Once again, good morning for everyone, and welcome to our webinar which is an update progress to your plan with Asta Powerproject. Today, Akmal Jahamrai from Future Network Development, and Mr. Chris Ray from Microsoft Asta will be presenting webinar. Future Network Development is a authorized distributor of Asta Powerproject in more than 80 countries. First of all, let me introduce you to Asta Powerproject. It's launched almost 30 years ago, and it is a powerful project portfolio and resource management solution used by large, small businesses, and it's preferred software of thousands of construction professionals. Why you choose Asta Powerproject? It is easy to use but extremely powerful. Superior presentation of project plans and simpler printing. Cost-effective licensing options. Enterprise option for multi-user, multi-project and real-time access. Easily integrates with other softwares such as ERP softwares, and also affordable for the planning. Link project plans to 3D models within single application. Here you can see some of our projects where Asta Powerproject used and implemented. London Eye, Jumeirah Park, Hong Kong Airport, Petronas Towers, Warsaw Metro Line, and others. Here you can see some of our customers which extremely using the Asta Powerproject and chose Asta Powerproject as one of the main project management tool. There are Strabag, BAM, Skanska, Hocktev, Astaldi, Brookfield, and Foster Partners, and Mace. Let me quickly also go to some of our study cases, which may be interested for you. One of the study cases which where we used Asta Powerproject is it is the Shard, or Vertical City in London. It's the tallest building in Western Europe, and Asta Powerproject was chosen by main contractor Mace to help them drive the innovative solutions required in this project. Second one is the Durban International Airport. Focus Project Management choose Asta Powerproject for construction project to help project manage the relocation of entire international airport in South Africa. The following study is about Godrej. Godrej is using Asta Powerproject and in several projects. One of them is a Godrej BKC is a project, and Godrej BKC is one of the biggest commercial projects in India, and it was inaugurated by Bill Gates. Following is a Furnace Fabrica in India Ltd. Furnace Fabrica is one of the world's leading engineering, procurement, and construction companies specializing in oil and gas industry. Asta Powerproject is used by them for domestic and overseas projects such as Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited or London Energy Systems and other projects. Today's we will be speaking about more about how to update progress to your project plan, and here Site Progress Mobile will help you. Site Progress Mobile, why? Do you progress your Asta schedules? Rely on these updates by email, phone calls, collect in person by walking the site or writing notes? Experienced any frustrations with this process, long progress periods, or having multiple sources? Version control. So If you have this kind of problems, Site Progress Mobile will help you. Site Progress Mobile gives you to record project progress quickly and easily via mobile devices. Update progress at any time from any location. You will need a signal only for submitting updates. Updates no longer rely on papers or emails that recreate manually into project plans. Record actual dates for events, not just percentage complete. Also, you can take notes, photographs, which can be associated with particular tasks or build stages. Available on Android, iOS, or Windows devices. Here you can see a cyclic reporting process. Uploading task, project, progress, records progress, submitting, and synchronizing reschedule. Mr. Chris Ray will be presenting more detailed this cycle reporting process. Before going to a live demonstration, I would like to mention that we have a now promotion, which is a access Site Progress Mobile for free if you buy 5 or more Asta Powerproject licenses. Any Asta Powerproject, standalone or enterprise. To find out more, call us or email to us, sales@fndsite.com. Now I will give present the rights to Mr. Grace, and he will be presenting. Hello, Chris.
Hi there.
Here you are. Please show us how to update progress to our project data.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Excellent, okay, well thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, yes, so this morning or today what we're going to do is we're going to look at progress entry within Asta Powerproject, and we're starting off with a blank project here just to show you the levels of progress. Now I'm just going to put in a very simple project to start with. I have a number of tasks with a number of durations in there. Link those together and reschedule those, so we're now in a position to see a very simple project for entering progress. Now Powerproject allows you to enter progress in a number of ways, in a very simple way through to complex levels of progress entry as required. So we're going to first of all start off by entering simple percent complete, but you can move all the way up to entering actual efforts, actual costs against each activity to roll up the task to see the level of progress that is on there. Now on the screen here I have a very simple program. I have a progress period line, my data line here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to change that line to the end of the week, showing you where I should be progressed up to. I can simply add a column in now to show my progress percent complete in there, and if I wanted to I could enter the progress directly into there. One of the other features we've got in very simple progress is I have the ability to enter in a plan percent complete column, which without any baselines, without any other functionality in the software, is now allowing me to see how much I should have done on those particular activities. So when I want to enter progress, I can simply type in my progress percent complete. So if I wanted to, I might say I've only done 50% of that activity. And the plan percent complete is telling me where I should be up to that line. And all I've done is 50% of work, and that's maybe all I've done. Now what I choose is when I do a reschedule in Powerproject, I get an option for my progress period warning. Now in here I have the option to either not straighten the line or straighten the line to whichever line I'm choosing, and I'll come into that in a bit more. Here, if I choose none and click on OK, it will leave the line jagged to show you where the tasks are, and the jagged progress line to show where I'm actually progressed up to. If I reschedule again, but this time to actually choose progress entry period, and then click on OK, it will take the progress I've done in the week I've done, and then straighten the line for that, and then pushing all remaining work out, so I can see where I am in that project. Now notice when I do that, the progress updates, because now the program's been readjusted. The plan percent complete is looking at the live project and saying where I am and where I'm expected to be. So if I undo that for a moment and take off the progress again on there, and what this time I'm doing, before I start any progress in there, I'm going to simply go into my baseline manager and create a new baseline. And this is our planned project. Close on that. As you notice now, that installs and shows a baseline task underneath. You can create as many baselines as you want, and I can also make sure that my column now is pointing to my baseline. So this plan percent complete is pointing there. If we repeat the process and say I should have done, I've done 50%, I should have done 100. If I then go into my reschedule and choose to straighten the line as I did before, the baseline now stays where it is. The live project is straightened, but the plan percent complete is telling me where I should have been on my original program. So I can very clearly see where I am and where I should have been in here, and this shows me in my columns. Now, what I'm going to do is, that's just a very simple method of entering progress. If I undo that and remove the progress again from my project, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply take it a step further. And again, with using Powerproject, different companies choose the different levels of entering progress. You may just want your resources and people just to start to go in and enter progress as a percentage, and that's it. Or you may want a more level of complexity, increasing with a baseline, straighten the line. And also we have the option inside Powerproject not just to have a single progress period. And so rather than calling that, I can say that was week 1. Week 1. I can have week 2, week 3, week 4, and I can have as many of these as I want. And if I switch back to Powerproject, I'm now displaying, as you can see at the top here, it's telling me I'm displaying the week for week 1. So now in there, if I do the similar as I did before, and said in the first week I did 50%, and if I straighten that line, now I'm just going to choose it to the progress entry period, which is whatever period is set there. That straightens the line in there. I then come along and say we're now in week 2, and as soon as I choose week 2, the line gets removed and the new line gets put in for week 2. My plan percent complete columns now tell me how much I should have done, and if I say that I've done 100% of that, do notice here now that the actual progress on the task is actually highlighted in the color of the progress period line. So this allows me to see how much I've actually got progress and where it was done. I can then say I've done also 50% on that, reschedule that, just leaving it as straighten the line, and it then updates in that line there. So I can see on week, and as I go into week 3, I can see I can go into there, and I can now say that I've done 75% of that. And what's interesting here is I've actually done 50% of task 3. So I've started task 3 out of sequence from my original plan, but that doesn't matter. Powerproject will allow you to do that, and when I reschedule that, it then readjusts the links around the completed sections, leaving the work where it was placed. Now, as part of this, I've now got this record of history inside my project of how much progress was done. So I can, if I wanted to, from a reporting side, add a column called progress a period, and I can say that's week 1 and choose it to report against week 1. I can click on add, and I can say that's week 2, choose week 2, click on add, which is week 3, and week 3. And when I close on that, that tells me how much progress I did on a weekly basis. Now I don't need to display these, but at any time I can add these onto my display for reporting purposes to very simply see how I can progress my my project and how it was progressed historically. This is not using baselines. I can baseline every week if I wanted to, but I can actually have a percent complete and a planned percent complete, a progress at period for the relevant for each of the periods I've got. Now what this enables me to do is if I just again undo my progress so it's back to here, even if I did chose not to reschedule it and straighten the line, so if I said I did 50% in week 1 and I did nothing else, and then if I rescheduled but this time made sure that was none, so it stays a jagged line, but then what I allow me to do is I can say in week 2 I can say that I did 100% and I did 20% there. Week 3 I did 80% and 10%, and I did week 4 I did 100% and I did 50%. So you can see even though I haven't moved my activities, I can still have that recorded information of how much progress I've done for each of the periods, and it can be displayed on screen very simply. So it's just one way of looking at my progress, and so I've updated that in there. Now what I can also do is when I'm entering progress, we have a number of options, and again with Powerproject the progress you can very simply enter progress and update, or if you have complex requirements you can progress in that way. So we have a number of options for progressing. We're progressing in steps, but what I can do is I can fill the progress line in here, and I can update via duration remaining if I wanted to. And if I can change the method I'm entering progress, I'm just going to choose this one at the moment. So what this allows me to do is inside the software I can actually add a column in under progress called duration remaining, and then when I start a task off, so I say I've done 10%, it progresses up to the line with 3 days remaining. In there I can say I've done 10% of that one as well, that progress to the line. I reschedule that, so straighten that into my progress period, and then when I come to week 2, all I now do is now I've started some tasks. That task there I say how many days left, well I've only have 2 days left to do next week. So I say 2 days, and it automatically completes to that line. This one I can say I need actually 5 days to do, and it progresses that line. I reschedule that project, and you can see there. So week on week it will now fill to the line and fill that period, just working on remaining duration for each of my activities that have started, that are in progress. So very quickly we can see this information. And obviously if we wanted to, in here, I can at any point under my format chart, if I wanted to, display, I move that there, multiple lines at the same time on screen. So very quickly I can get that detailed. Now if you don't like looking at the multicolored items in there, just turn it back, I can set them to all black. So I can choose to that. You'll notice here that where I progressed it, it has a split inside it because I did that piece in that week, I did that piece in that week. If I wanted to, I can choose not to show those splits. So I can show it as a complete task, fill in the gaps. Again, so it's all about how you want it to be displayed, how you want to enter progress. And you can choose whether it be a complex level or a very simple way of entering progress. So in here we've created these lines, and you would just continue to create those lines in progress. Now, if I just remove that out of screen, one of the other features we have inside here, inside Powerproject, and if I just set my progress back to week 1, is that Powerproject has a functionality to allow you to draw an activity, but also to draw additional activities on the same line. So these can be multiple stages of a build, these could be procurement stages, design stages. What I'm going to say here is that very simply these are different build stages of a house, and I'm going to say that that's the foundation work. Yes, that's my DPC. I've got some drainage, I've got some brickwork, and I've got some roof in there. So very quickly I can have a house on one line, and if I wanted to I can have as multiple stages. There's no limit to the number of activities that I can have. Let's do that. And I can have those, and I can have those on screen. Now if I wanted to, that might be plot 1. I can actually have multiple of those. Just remove those blank lines I created earlier. And if I wanted to, I can link those houses together, reschedule there to show my critical path going through the project, but when the relevant stages are being done on my house. Now I've done that, I can see the total duration of those. If I go into week 2, that will start to give me a view of how much and where I should be. So what I'm going to do here is I can actually just select that and select that in there and just say that that's 100% complete, which works out to be 12.5% of the overall plot. If I wanted to, I could click on the plus and see the different stages in there, and if I wanted to there, I could then quite happily enter progress in these columns, saying I've done 10% and so forth in there, and then doing a reschedule once I've rolled it up to see the impact on that. And again, if I baseline that, that would show me my comparisons, and if I showed that with my multiple lines, I could see the different colorings and shadings on there. So if I went back to format bar chart, I can make sure that was colored, so I can see that. So I can see where the progress was done week by week inside there. So let me just turn my options back off again. Filter line, take that off. And set that to 0. That's to 0. Back again. And now in here, if I enter my progress without those fill lines in there, I can say that that's 10%. I can say that one was 20% done, and then I could reschedule that, just updating it, leaving it in the week it was done, and allow me to report it, seeing the progress of the overall activities. So again, very quickly can be done. If I undo those, just remove those again, undo them back to nothing. And again, in here, what I'm going to do is if I have task 1, task 2, task 3, in here, I have a duration of each of these. I summarize those. First of all, link them, then summarize them. And I'm going to summarize this as phase 1. When I reschedule them, that puts it in place. And I'm just going to very briefly just point that to the live project for the moment in there. And now when I enter progress against this, if I say I'm entering progress against week 2, this shows me how much progress I should have on each task, but also rolls that value up so I can get a summarized version of my progress. As I enter progress against each of these activities, and say I did 50% there, that 50% actually equates to 16.5%, just over that task. I can then choose to progress the remainder of those in there, and I will just remove my options again just once more in there because I undid those. So let's just do the 50%, and you can see it progresses up there, and then when I reschedule it, it still shows me, and as I've extended it, it gives me an update version of that. But the progress of the summary means that if I only look at the summary, I can see how much progress I've done as I've gone through. Now, this is all very good and very easy to report on in your project. What I can do with progress as well, if I come out of that, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put task 1 in, task 2 in, task 3 in, put some durations of those in there, link those together, tell it I'm on week 1, reschedule that. So that's my project. I can save this to my desktop as simple project, and that's placed in there. I can also choose to export this information out to Asta Site Progress, which is for the mobile applications. So this allows you to use either an Android, an Apple, or a Microsoft device, and if you have none of those, you can actually use a web page to go straight into Progress. Once I've done this, I close this down. With Site Progress, or with the deal we have at the moment, if you buy Powerproject 5 licenses, you can use Site Progress for free. You get to install an application onto your machine, which is the Asta Site Progress Manager, which you're given a username and password, which are the ones you type in to log in. And inside here, you can set up the users. So although you have purchases and you get a username to log into this, from here on, you can type in as many users as you want. In here, I can choose my projects, so I can add a project in. So if I just go to my desktop, there's my simple project. I can choose the default login details to that project and apply that. And then I can go to assign access, and I can choose my project. And in here, it opens up. And I have a program. I don't have any further structure in there. And I can assign Bob to that and apply that, so he's working on all of that. Now if I go back to my projects, and for an example here, I add a new project in, and I'm just going to add in from my documents, Asta Powerproject, projects, and I have a 2-story office block example in there, apply that, go to my assign access, choose that 2-story office block example, and you can see here there's a whole structure within the project, and I'm choosing here to, if I assign none there, so to apply that, there is no one assigned to that. I can choose to assign Bob to either the whole thing, just the construction, or just one of the sub-stages. So I might say Bob's working on sites and establishments, Chris is going to be working on superstructure, Ray is going to be working on that, but Bob's also going to do services and include all of the items underneath. So I can choose to see allocated on those. With those allocated, I apply that. I can then go to my jobs, and I can choose the jobs that are ready to export. And you can see there's the untitled, which is my simple project, and then I have 3 exports for the 2-story office block project. One for Bob, one for Chris, one for Ray. Now each of those people have their own mobile devices. They will be able to open those up. So I'm going to say all of these are going to be exported out, and I'm going to choose, when I'm exporting, I'm progressing this to, and let's just choose the 3rd of July as the progress date here. And then when I can choose to export, baseline. So I have that's because I created the baseline earlier in there. So I have exported my projects in there. Let's just get there. And I can choose to export those out and export there. I'm soon to have a connection issue here, but I can still show you the progress here. Now I have a mobile app here, and this is linked to a phone I have linked on there, and there you see the 2 projects that have been exported out in there, untitled and two-story office block. If I click on untitled, that will download the project into my device. Once it's downloaded to my device, I'm entering progress. I can disconnect from the internet, and in here I can see the tasks, so that I've only got task 1, 2 and 3. Task 1 is behind schedule, that's on schedule, and that should be being done this week, and these are ahead of schedule. So you can choose the colours for the settings of these in there. So I'm saying task 1. I can add some notes if I wanted to, and here I've chosen some predefined ones, or I can enter some free entry ones in there. I can even take a picture or multiple pictures of the piece of work I'm looking at and actually bring that through so I can actually see that and report that. So I can do that, and then when I'm entering progress against that item, I can progress it like this. So this is just my finger dragging along in there, say how much I've done. I've also have the ability to say give it an actual start and a remaining duration as well. And once I've done that, I can save that, and then up here I can just choose to go to the next activity and repeat the process of how much it should be, and then save on that. Once I've finished on that, I'll update that, and then again, if I submit it back to the cloud, then it's no longer a project I can edit inside my device. So during the week I'll have that, and I only submit it at the end of the week. Now if I go into two-story office block, you can see that in here I have site establishment and services. They're the two sections I chose to export. And again in here you can see I have got a whole range of activities, all with red against them, so these are overdue activities. Now you don't have to have this colour, you can choose not to export the colour out there, so it's all down to you. And free entry, I can use either that or do free notes and type in whatever I want. I'll have no notes at the moment. Take pictures, enter the progress against those, and once I've done that, I can save that and submit that back. Now once I've submitted those back, I can go back into Powerproject, and you can see in the Site Progress Manager, and I have two jobs that I can re-import back into Powerproject. And I can choose those two ones, and I can then choose to what date I'm reporting to, which is the 3rd of July. I can choose to import those. They're now all imported. If I go back to Powerproject and I open up my simple project, there's the progress I've just entered on my Site Progress Mobile, and if I open the other one I would have the same. So I have the ability to enter progress very simply on a project. That project progress can be entered by multiple people, so the relevant people to that, and it keeps track of that. And all I would do then is the next week I would go back into ready to export, choose which files I want to export, choose the new date, and run an export. So this could be done by per person on your machine, or you might have an administrator where it links to all the project files on the network and exports that data out. If you have Asta Powerproject Enterprise, you will be able to export that information out from there. So you have all of that available to you. Now, what I would want to do is here, if I just go back into my projects, I'm just going to click on Add and open a house build sample. In there, go to my Apply, go to Access, and my house build. In there, I've got my new build, it's assigned to Bob. In there, I'm going to my jobs and just refresh that. Let's just assign Bob to all that. There's my house build one. If I choose my house build example and I choose to export that. Now, before I go any further, if I just open up my documents and open up that house build project, that house build sample, you can see here that this project has multiple plots on it, plot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These ones have some progress on them. Some of them are overlapping. This is all allowed within Powerproject in there. If I close that down, now if I go back to my mobile device, refresh, there's my house build sample project. And in here I've got two different workflows I can have. I have my pre-construction, pre-site work, and my typical houses. If I go into my typical houses, I've got my new build houses. And this is my turnaround document, which just means single activities that are non-repetitive and non-staged activities. Or I can go into what we call our timesheet, and I can look at a particular plot, and I can say, look, I'm looking at plot 4, and I can either do some work on each of these items. And if you look here, these works here, this is foundations, DPC, drainage, brickwork 1. If I go back to Powerproject and my recent house build, this is, if I look in the new build section, this is my foundation, DPC, drainage, brickwork 1, brickwork 2, and so forth that's in there. And I'm looking at plot 4, so I look in there. And that's saying I'm reporting on that of how much work I've done. So if I switch back to the mobile device, in here what I can say is that I can say, well actually, either I can say part of that's done in there, or if I scroll down and say I've completed up to brickwork 1, and that will progress everything in there. I can take pictures, I can do all the normal stuff, all the notes and so forth, but I'm doing it against each stage. I can save that, upload that information back to the project, and you'll notice in here, stage 4 has no progress. Close that down, go back into my site progress app, choose to say ready to import, house build is ready to come back in, and then I just import that in with a particular date. And inside Powerproject, when the user opens it inside Powerproject, in there, you'll now see that I have progress assigned against that particular period in there that I've thrown. And this line I've got drawn here has been automatically generated by site progress, so you don't even have to go in and create your own lines. If you have one on that date, it will use it. If you don't, it will create your site progress line for the particular date. So very quickly, well, it will allow you to see this information. Okay, so that's site progress. Very simple to use. It's the kind of thing that we have a simple 10-minute demo video when you purchase that shows you how it works. So if I close down my projects there, and the one final thing that we're going to show you now with producing SCurve, progress SCurve reports in Powerproject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to open up my 2-story office block in there. I'm going to go inside my format side, and there are no baselines at the moment, so let's just create a baseline for this project. That's quickly created a baseline. As I say, you can create as many baselines as you want. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a few changes to my project, a few delays to my project, just so we can see any impacts. If I do those, and then if I do a reschedule, we should be able to see that as we go down, there's a difference in my project and baseline, or where it's sitting inside there. So if I close that down, now what I'm going to do is, now I've got that in place, I can go into the project tab at the top and choose to do the earn value analysis report, the EVA reporter When I choose the UVA reporter, that will allow me to open up in here. I can choose next. Now, the advantage with the UVA reporter is in a lot of software that produces SCurves, you need to cost load your project or resource load your project. And if you've done that, this will allow you to report on it. But if you haven't done that, you can simply open your project up, choose the duration option, and it will produce SCurves for your project. It also means that you could fairly simply export out from XCR and so forth and bring it into Powerproject and run an SCurve to it, making sure you have a baseline. So what I'm going to do is I have duration set in here. I'm going to next. I could group it by each individual code library, so for example trade, to see how each trade is performing. I'm not going to at the moment. Next on that, I get to choose my as soon as possible baseline as my latest possible baseline. If I don't have my as latest possible baseline, then I don't have to worry. I just need to have one baseline in there. Next on that, I can choose the scope of this report. Do I want everything, where I'm in, the whole thing? So I'm going to say current view, which is what I'm looking at. Next on that, and then I'm going to finish on that. And what that's going to do in the background is that's now running analysis on my project, doing any temporary reschedules it needs to work out the values and placements of my activities. And as it runs through there, it's generating this data that I can then use as an SCurve. It almost becomes part of the process that you can do this every week as a standard. We have a number of clients now that export this as a standard report to management along with their project plan and drop line report. So it's a very simple way to see things. So it's now writing the data into Excel, so it uses Excel as a generator for here. And there we go, we have complete. And there is my report. And you can see I have an SCurve. This is using an Excel template, so I could open that template up, put my own logos in there, make it and choose anything I wanted to. Gives me the details of what I've chosen, and gives me my SCurve of where I am, of where I'm planned to be, and the actuals would appear over here. That's my actuals, just very small at the moment. It gives me some basic earned value amounts, so budget at completion, planned at completion, earned value at report date, cost at report date, so if I do have costs I can see that. I can also see report settings that I ran it on, and also it gives me an explanation of what earned value is. So how the concepts work, what the graph is telling you of how it's working, and they're inside every report we do. If you report on what project that has multiple progress periods, it will give you a variance per progress period. So it's a very simple way of entering progress, and I could get this out of it even if I'm doing my simple level of progress. So that's really the entering progress side. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer that. We have about 10 minutes or so available.
Hello Chris, yes, there is a question from Ian. He's asking, what happens if on a line with many tasks you skip any task and progress a task ahead of sequence? How is this shown?
Okay, so if I had multiple tasks on the line, like so, if I reschedule that in place, let's zoom in on it so we see more. Now, Powerproject allows you, there's a number of, depending on your options you use, but I'm just going to set this now to the end of the week, for example, and I can say this task here I did a bit of, this task here I did a bit of as well. So I've done a bit of both of those. Now it can't give me a jagged line because it doesn't know where the jagged line should be, even if I turn off critical here, because I'm out of sequence progress. But if I then reschedule that and straighten the line, it leaves the completed sections where they are, and moves the remaining forward. So just the same way it would do if you progressed out a sequence on a normal line, but actually it deals with it quite happily on a multiple task line. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you, Chris. Dear attendee, do you have any questions? You can type to question section on go to webinar. I think, Chris, there is no other questions.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. So if anyone has, please contact FND. I know the meeting's being recorded, so that will be available to people to view. And if you have any further questions, let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Have a nice day. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.